I leaned back on my bed, feeling a rush of satisfaction after completing a difficult level in my video game. Glancing at the clock, I realized it was already past midnight. As it was a Friday night, the dormitory was quieter than usual, and many people, including my roommate, had gone out to party. However, being a self-proclaimed nerd, I preferred spending my Friday nights gaming. Feeling a little tired, I debated whether to call it a night or continue playing. Eventually, I decided to try one more level. Fully engrossed in the game, I lost track of time, and before I knew it, another hour had passed. My eyes were drooping. Then, I noticed my phone's battery was running low. I thought it was plugged in, but it turned out that it wasn't charging. Frustrated, I made a mental note to buy a new cord the next day and put the phone down. As I stretched, I heard a loud knocking noise coming from the corridor of our dorm entrance. I lived on the first floor and could hear it clearly. Assuming it was just another drunk college dorm mate who had forgotten their key or how to open the door, I never bothered to open it for them. As I was about to head to the shower, the sound of the front entrance opening caught my attention. For a moment, there was silence, but then I heard the sound of knocking growing louder and more insistent. It was as if the intoxicated dorm mate was going from room to room, knocking on every door in the hallway. My heart raced with anxiety, and I hesitated to leave my room or even open the door. I was trying to ignore it, thinking it would pass. But the knocking got closer and closer to my room. My heart pounded even harder. However, to my relief, it stopped at my neighbor's room. Despite this, I still felt uneasy about leaving my room. Instead, I decided to look through the peephole to see if I could spot anything. There was nothing there. All I can see is the door for my cross-hallway neighbors. Then, suddenly, a glowing red eyes appeared from nowhere and staring back at me, which caused me to fall back in shock. As I tried to regain my composure, I heard knocking coming from my door. It started off gentle but quickly became more forceful. The doorknob rattled, and the person on the other side was trying to open my locked door. I was keeping as quiet as possible, hoping he will go away. In a panic, I remembered that I had my phone with me and realized I could use it to call the police. I quickly reached for my phone, but my heart sank as I realized that it was turned off due to a dead battery. Frantically, I tried to turn it back on, but to no avail. I then attempted to charge it using a broken phone charger, but it remained non-functional. Feeling helpless and vulnerable, I knew I needed to call the police, but there was no landline in my dorm room. Panic rising in my chest, I debated my options. Taking a deep breath, I decided to look through the peephole once more. As I slowly made my way towards my door, my heart was beating fast in my chest, and I braced myself for whatever might be on the other side. To my horror, the thing that was pounding my door was the final boss from the game I had been playing on my phone. It wasn't a mere digital representation. It was a real-life, flesh and blood monster with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp claws. Suddenly, the door burst open, sending me crashing to the ground. I tried to run, but the monster was right behind me, slashing at me with its claws and emitting a bone-chilling growl. As I stumbled and fell to the ground, the monster loomed over me. I closed my eyes and braced myself for the final blow, but then I didn't get hit. I sat there in shock and confusion for what felt like an eternity, trying to process what had just happened. Eventually, I mustered up the courage to open my eyes. To my surprise, the final boss was gone. There was no evidence of the monster's attack. No claw marks, no broken furniture, nothing out of place. It was as if it had never happened. Dazed and still shaken, I stumbled to my bed and collapsed onto it. The next morning, I woke up with a start, my body drenched in cold sweat. I lay in my bed, still shaken from the experience. Suddenly, I heard the loud snoring of my roommate, who must have gotten super drunk the night before. As I sat up, I tried to convince myself that it was all just a nightmare, but deep down, I knew that it was something more. I got up and headed towards the bathroom, intending to take a shower and try to forget about the events of the previous night. As I undressed and looked at myself in the mirror, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My arms and chest were covered in deep, bloody scratches, as if I had been attacked by some kind of wild animal. I felt a wave of fear wash over me as I realized that what had happened the night before was not just a nightmare, but a terrifying reality. Shaking with fear, I rushed back to my room to grab my phone and call the police, but to my horror, I found that my phone was still dead from the previous night. Suddenly, a message appeared on the dark screen, chilling me to the bone. It simply read, "I'll be back." I was trembling with fear and uncertainty, unsure of what to do next. Eventually, I decided to pack a bag and leave the dormitory, driving 3 hours to return to my home. When I arrived, my mom was shocked to see me, but I quickly lied and told her that school had given students a few days off to prepare for exams, and I had decided to come home to study. For the next few days, I hid in my room, trying to forget about the incident and move on with my life. But the feeling that something was watching me never left. I became paranoid and jumpy, unable to focus on anything else. One morning, as I was having my breakfast cereal, I caught a glimpse of the back of the newspaper my dad was reading. There was an advertisement for the Ghostbusters that caught my eye. Although the ad looked like a joke, I felt like I had no other options left. Gathering all my courage, I contacted the Ghostbusters and explained my terrifying situation to them. They were skeptical at first, but I convinced them to investigate the dormitory and try to uncover the truth. After several discussions between them and the school, and after several investigations using their strange gadgets, what the paranormal investigators told us was shocking. It turned out that the dormitory had been built on an ancient burial ground, and the monster I had seen was the spirit of a vengeful warrior who had been buried there. The Ghostbusters managed to put the spirit to rest, but I knew that I could never forget what had happened. In the end, I still have nightmares about the monster, and I never play video games that was too exciting or scary past midnight anymore. But I also know that I survived something that most people wouldn't believe. And that knowledge gives me the strength to face whatever comes next.